Hey, Guoba here, back again with Mem. With all the new relics and planars that M4 brought us, the various Remembrance light cones, and even a brand new ability, I thought it'd be a nice time to update them. They are still one of the strongest supports in the game and are completely free, and if you aren't using them already, you should be. I can't even imagine them being useless even with the new MC, as they are not constrained to a super break meta like Harmony MC was. Surely that doesn't age poorly. Anyways, let's check out what changed, what to build on them, and what teams they excel in. They can stick to their OP support shenanigans, or they can now become a main DPS, which I find so fun. But now, let's check them out. First, let's check out the new ability they are getting in 3.7. RMC now has a fourth bonus ability unlike any other character in the game. Surely this will also mean buffs for Preservation, Destruction, and Harmony MC? After using their ultimate, they gain a stack of Epic up to 2 stacks. If Mem is on the field when we have an epic stack, which is very likely, our basic attack is now enhanced. So the usual basic attack is Leave It To Me, where the MC does a measly 110% attack multiplier. Whilst it does generate SP, which is useful in many scenarios, it lacks the juicy 10% extra charge from the skill and doesn't generate as much energy. Well, that is all fixed with RMC's brand new enhanced basic attack, Together We Script Tomorrow. It is one of the cutest abilities in the game and combines the quote-unquote offensive power of the basic with the charge generation of the skill. It first consumes that epic stack to dispel all CC effects on Mem. It then deals damage not to just one target but all enemies on the field. And it is no longer just a 110% attack multiplier but a 132% attack multiplier. And not only is it just the MC that attacks, but it is also Mem for a combined 264% attack multiplier to all enemies, whilst also being a joint attack, which is nice for some mechanics. But the final bonus is that we gain 10% charge, and it also generates 30 energy just like the skill. This is all whilst, by the way, still generating SP as if it were a regular basic attack. So now every ultimate we get one awesome basic with extra damage, utility, and charge, all whilst generating SP rather than consuming it. It is a nice buff to an already amazing unit. The damage is not going to be fantastic in a lot of teams since we just build them to buff our actual DPS and go supersonic, but some teammates like aura buffers can help it out with no downsides, but the strongest buffer of them all is our latest 5-star character. The real power from this ability comes from 2 other factors arriving in version 3.7. Cyrene, and a brand new light cone tailor-made for our main character. Cyrene's Ode to Remembrance Genesis is effective for the entire battle. RMC gets a massive attack buff scaling off of Cyrene's HP, which she will stack a lot of. RMC will also get a massive crit rate buff, one of the largest in the game, which is useless for the ultimate, but is insane for our new enhanced basic attack. And finally, every EBA from RMC causes Cyrene to unleash another one of her AoE Memory Right skills, so even more damage. Together, they create a very strong damage support combo for our Chrysos heirs. Don't say the W word, don't manifest it. Now the second factor that buffs up our new MC ability is 3.7's free light cone. I wish it came out sooner, but we have yet another AoE buffer light cone, which means the Herder Shop one can go to Hyacinth, Cyrene, or even Evernight, and RMC can stick with this with no issues. And I say no issues because RMC is the only one that can effectively equip it. Fly into a pink tomorrow grants us the same crit damage as Victory in a Blink, and the same 16% damage for all allies. But we have 2 core differences. First off, the damage buff is permanent, meaning you actually get this effect for moment sprites like Eevee and Netherwing that come and go. Victory in a Blink needs to be reapplied, and even Memory's Curtain from the Herder Shop has that same problem. And the second difference is that we get a third effect on the cone, a 100% damage buff to our enhanced basic attack. So we build a lot of crit damage, we get crit rate and attack from Cyrene, we have other buffs from Cyrene or other allies, and then we get 100% damage on top. This EBA now packs a punch even on supportive builds. Again, outside of Cyrene comps, or I guess DPS RMC comps, the enhanced basic attack won't do that amazingly, but it's still a free light cone, and it helps with all these Remembrance units contesting the same cones over and over again. With Cyrene coming out and not needing her signature for any mechanic but just for more damage, letting her use Memory Curtain is really nice. So for builds, what do we do? Well, your regular support Remembrance MC hasn't changed much, but still has lots of build paths that they can choose. The easiest path is to just run a combo of 2-piece speed sets like a lot of supports. They want to be fast to generate SP, energy, and charge for their kit to work, and this relic combo ensures they can do so without needing you to farm a whole 4-piece set. But if you can farm a 4-piece set, or if your speed goals are satisfied, well, they have an upgrade in the turn count world, but also you can now opt to support your team better. A Remembrance Trailblazer with Eagle set is still magical for optimizing low AV clears, and with Cyrene's free ultimates at 24 recollection, we have even more chances to cheat action value. On top of them now possibly getting kills on the team even as a support, their energy gains only got better. But for most players that is not the vibe, which I understand, and even for those optimizing, you might not want the Eagle set in case of wanting them to act later for more precise mem tuning, or if needing the damage from the next set. Anyways, for those, we luckily got a set in 3.x that works nicely for our Trailblazer. World Remaking Deliverer, literally designed based off of the Trailblazer's fit, allows us to give our team 15% damage. It may be small and often diluted, but that's good enough for us. And the crit rate with Cyrene and max HP may also not be useful for our own damage, but again here we're focusing on buffing our team with the relic's last effect. For supportive planars you can use like anything. Let's explain the choices though. Again, we'll start with Vonwak. That would be used for a 3-turn wave 1 and is usually combined with the Eagle set. It is still good without Eagle, as acting as early as possible can let you also bring up Mem as early as possible for rotations that want it. For example, when trying to get RMC to hit 100 charge for wave 2 at 0 AV. But anyways, let's move on to the more normal picks. Lushaka and Penacony are your normal go-tos when you want energy without compromising on carry buffing. Lushaka is the most used set since there are so many attack carries out there, but Penacony is a great replacement with Evernight or Cyrene, and alternative for the Herta, for example. However, in 3.7 we are also getting a brand new planar set that they can use. Amphorius the Eternal Land gives 8% crit rate and a team-wide 8% speed buff when the wearer's Memory Sprite is on the field. Since they are one of the best at getting their Memory Sprite out ASAP, this means the speed is effective nearly the whole fight and can help hit some bonkers breakpoints. This can be nice for the Eagle set RMC stuff from before if not using Vonwak, but it can also let you hit a crazy but strong goal of 200 speed for your Cyrene, for example. The speed won't always help, but if you build around it, it is just free stats or turns within Psycho breakpoints. Just remember, it is limited to 1 per team. Your main stats as a support will just be crit damage, speed, HP, and energy. You'll just be stacking crit damage and HP to decent amounts, but focusing on speed. There isn't really a breakpoint for RMC since most teams just need to have them act as much as possible. Technically, there are breakpoints for Eagle optimizers like 167 with 2 ults for a 3-turn cycle 0, but RMC's tuning possibilities are quite large and dependent on your team and rotation. Now, DPS RMC isn't something new, but with the addition of a whole new damaging ability, a light cone designed to further boost set ability, and then a very synergistic support that gives a ton of free stats, well now it is just going to be awesome. It still realistically needs an AoE fight like some bosses like Flame Reaver or Pure Fiction, and it still isn't perfect, but it's fun, and so I want to mention it. But how would you build for it? Because although nearly every Remembrance user has been HP scaling, Aglaya and RMC are in fact attack gamers. Well, this all means you can use the OG hero of Triumphant Song set for a boost to attack, speed, and crit damage. We boost our own damage and our buff to the team in case that matters. World Remaking Deliverer technically works too since the damage buff still helps us out, and the crit rate is useful if not using Cyrene or if she's on a low crit rate build. And otherwise 2-piece damage combos are our final option. For your planars, you can use Arcadia to buff both Mem and Trailblazer, but it only really shines when paired with Cyrene and Hyacinth. Banana Amusement Park works otherwise for a bunch of free crit damage to specifically the Trailblazer, and Rutilant can be good too, but you might not need the crit rate at all. Farming Banana Amusement does get you Lushaka at the same time, which means you can kit out both possible MC playstyles. So then your DPS main stats. I don't think you really should DPS RMC without Cyrene, but if you don't use her, you'd want a crit rate chest for this new EBA, which doesn't get the free crit from E6, but also for Mem's cute little punches. If you do run Cyrene, you now run a crit damage chest, and you go for crit rate dependent on your Cyrene build. Speed or attack boots are next, then ice damage or attack orb, and then attack % rope. For your goals, non-Cyrene users will aim for a nice balanced crit ratio with some crit rate to spare if using Sunday, but also for the 10% CR they give to themselves with Mem support. Cyrene users will instead full send crit damage and still look out to max that crit rate, but with a much lower pre-combat stat. Cyrene gives 72% of her own crit rate with her Ode to Genesis, So if you, for example, have her at 100% CR after her old self buff, you'd only need 18% crit rate on the Trailblazer. So this is dependent on your Cyrene. Just take her crit rate at 50%, multiply it by 0.72, and add that to your Trailblazer's crit rate at 10% and see if that hits 100%. Attack otherwise can just be a nice amount of 2.5 to 3k, and speed, aim for your basic 134 or 135 goal. Since sometimes they can self-advance at random moments, their speed breakpoint might not even matter, but you may want them ahead of an advancer like Sunday. What's funny is even on that support build from before, Cyrene will still be giving a ton of free crit rate and flat attack, and you stack crit damage for your RMC's buff anyway. You might not get the mem support on top as you'd give it to your main carry, but together the MC will still do great damage. But let's talk Lycones, which can vary a lot. Now, RMC has a smorgasbord of Lycones because of how weird the Remembrance path is. You have many options, but a few of them are premium and it's okay to not have them. Let's go through which ones they can use and when to do so. First off, of course, the standard build will just be use the new Fly into Pink Tomorrow. You get Team White Amp, and it also works for DPS RMC really well with a 100% damage buff to the EBA. Now, why would you swap off of it? The first case is if you need speed, and so you can use Memory Curtain, another free-to-play cone, or Hyacinth or Cyrene cone. However, Memory Curtain is heavily contested by other supportive Remembrance units, and even can be used by Evernight, so it might not always be available for the MC. The second case is if you need mem support as soon as possible, and here you'd use Shadowburn. This can be used in Vonoac setups to have mem act directly behind a unit that needs it. Because the thing with off-turn advance is it will be directly behind the character if mem hits 100 charge, meaning no AV is wasted. As for premium replacements, if you have an Evernight cone spare for some reason, the Noctis buff can amp a mem sprite team damage significantly, including mem of course. If you have a Hyacinth cone spare, then you can use this for additional drain on a Castoris team, Evernight team, Blade team, Jinglu team, etc. We know this cone is kinda busted. Whilst I still wouldn't pull one for them, it's still viable if you have it. And Cyrene's cone can be activated by RMC much faster than Cyrene can even activate it herself, giving team-wide crit damage and enemy-wide vulnerability. As for teams, RMC not only synergizes with every hypercarry in the game, but since their release they have got some really notable ones, so let's check them out. Castoris of course was a controversial subject because she introduced killing and resummoning her Mem sprite, which meant buffs with duration like Sunday would not synergize greatly with her. Mem's support however latches onto the user, and automatically applies to their Mem sprite whenever summoned. At E0 Castoris, RMC remains a great teammate even if her Exodia teams no longer use RMC. At E2 there is the anti-synergy where Castoris self-advances and can easily lose Mem support uptime, so don't use them there. An example of a Castoris comp would be Castoris Evernight RMC Hyacinth, but Castoris Tribi RMC Hyacinth is also viable. And while swapping out Hyacinth hurts a lot, Gallagher should still be able to clear decently with her. Evernight next with maybe the best RMC synergy in the game among DPS. She has a very high energy to cap out the true damage, buffs Mem sprites which helps out Mem damage especially now with Cyrene, and specifically wants Remembrance units to help boost her team-wide buffs and generate her Memoria so she can deal damage. She also wants to maximize actions within the Darkest Riddle state, which only RMC can do reliably thanks to Mem being an off-turn advancer, allowing Evernight to do a 2-action EV bomber. With Cyrene on top, these three are just magical together. They all buff each other by considerable amounts and all battery each other in different ways. For example, Cyrene buffs Evernight and RMC's damage whilst generating energy for them. That gives charge for RMC and Memoria and Darkest Riddle for Evernight. And Evernight buffs Cyrene and RMC's damage significantly while still being the main carry and outputting a ton herself. Her acting a ton and generating energy yet again works for RMC's charging power, but also helps so much for recollection generation on Cyrene. Hyacinth on top is just delicious. In fact, a DPS comp for RMC can be Evernight Cyrene RMC, which is more of a triple DPS comp really, but the mem choice changes it I guess. So you can go for the quad DPS team where everyone is the support but not a support with Hyacinth and Tribi, I won't say the W word. But another team can be with Sunday and Danhung PT, since remember, RMC is attack based after all, and every Sunday advance is a mem attack on top of RMC's. You will just be overcapped on crit rate, but that's okay. But remember, RMC works in so many teams as a support. They are a crit damage buffer and a true damage buffer with an off-turn advance that can clutch up in so many ways. Every single carry in 3.x can use him as one of their best supports, whilst also being completely free. And now they can also be DPS if they want, with pretty decent viability. But let me know what you think of our new MC buffs and how you plan to build them. Thanks to my amazing YouTube members, thanks for watching, and have a Guoba day.